Hey everyone, it's March 26th, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share it with serial killer Gerard Schaefer, who spent time as a police officer, killing perhaps as many as 100 victims in the late 60s and early 70s. And that is him right up there. Schaefer was born to a traveling salesman and homemaker in 1946 and grew up in Nashville and Atlanta before the family moved to Florida in 1960. He was a troubled child, beaten often by his alcoholic father, and developed violent sexual fantasies that he would satisfy by tying himself to a tree and beating himself at the age of 12. It was at that age when his fantasies began to involve women, becoming a peeping Tom and stealing the underwear of a neighbor. Though he was a good student and a member of the varsity football team, he wasn't well liked by his peers and was known to try and look up the skirts of girls at school. Wow, a football player treated young women poorly. I'm shocked. In 1966, he began seeing a psychiatrist to help with his issues, but he continued to fantasize about hurting women, and unfortunately the help he got wasn't enough. Later that year, he went on tour with Moral Rearmament, the anti-hippie and pro-conformist group best known for the Up With People movement. While on tour, he met the woman who would become his first wife, though the pair divorced in 1970 due to his violent behavior. Schaefer then attended Florida Atlantic University, making him the worst person to be affiliated with at school until Lane Kiffin coached there in 2016. He attempted to become a teacher but was dropped from student teaching programs for trying to rigorously enforce his own moral and political values on his students. In 1972, Schaefer became a police officer in Florida for a small-town force after twice being rejected by Broward County for failing a psychological exam. He was known to look up the personal information of female traffic violators, then call them to ask for dates. That year, he picked up two teen girls who were hitchhiking, drove them to a swamp, held them at gunpoint, put their heads in nooses, and left them balancing on the roots of a large tree where if they fell, they would choke to death. Luckily, they escaped, and when Schaefer realized they were gone, he called his boss saying, "I've done something foolish. You're going to be mad at me." Yeah, I think so. He was apprehended, fired, and charged with false imprisonment and kidnapping. Imagine that, a police officer being held accountable for his actions. While out on bond, he picked up two more teen girls, tied them to a tree, and shot them in the face. Their skeletal remains weren't found until the next year, but when they were, the true nature of his crimes came out. A search of his home revealed hundreds of pages of writing and sketches depicting the torture and killing of teen girls, IDs of dead hitchhikers, newspaper clippings about missing women, and a collection of jewelry in which pieces were traced to missing children whose remains had recently been found. Schaefer was only convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected to have committed as many as 100, giving a statement saying, "I would say it runs between 80 and 110, but over 8 years and 3 continents, do the pregnant ones count as 2 kills? It can get confusing." He then disclaimed his own statements and declared his innocence, yet later published Killer Fiction, a book describing how he killed dozens of victims. While serving his sentence of life in prison, another prisoner in Tampa slashed his throat and stabbed Schaefer over 40 times, including in both eyes, killing him in 1995. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Gerard Schaefer, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.